This morning at Oasis Community Church, Pastor Jim was talking about Moses and his sense of justice and righteousness. And if you remember, Moses actually started out without a name. As far as we know, his parents never gave him a name. It wasn't until the Egyptian princess drew him out of the water, saving him from the crocodile-infested waters of the Nile, and gave him the name Moses, which means drawn out of the water. And the next time we see Moses is bringing justice to his people. And first of all, with an Egyptian slave master beating on a Hebrew, and Moses ends up killing the guy, hiding his body in the sand. Next day goes out and he tries to separate two of his Hebrew brothers or relatives from fighting with each other, and they say, "Who made you Lord and judge over us?" And so he hightails it out of there into the desert, is gone for 40 years, in fact. He shows up in this area of Midian where Jethro lives, and Jethro's 7 daughters are trying to bring their flocks to the well to water them, and they're driven away by these bad shepherds, these nasty shepherd guys that want first dibs on the water. Well, it says that Moses draws water out for them. In a sense, you could say Moses is meting out justice. This theme of drawing out water is later picked up then in with the deliverance of Israel out of Egypt, and they're out of water. They're grumbling and complaining in Exodus chapter 17. And Moses draws water out of the rock by hitting it. And then later on he gets condemned for beating the rock a second time when he was supposed to speak to the rock to bring justice. And we could look at the whole theme or typology of Jesus being the rock, and how the first time he was beaten through the crucifixion, the second time we speak to him. And Moses broke an important type there. But he was supposed to bring about justice and righteousness, and his life is really about that. And you could really look at Moses defined by bringing justice and righteousness. Well, interestingly enough, on our way to church, there was this guy alongside the road that needed some help, and he had a sign, and so we stopped, and I offered to take him to McDonald's. I got him a coffee, and my wife took the kids on to church, and then she came back, and she actually picked me and him up. He agreed to go to church with us then. And then afterward, I decided I'd take him to Cracker Barrel. He had a Cracker Barrel gift card given to him, and didn't know how much money was on it, but I thought we could at least get him a good hot meal. And then he didn't want, any food. He said he wasn't hungry and wanted to go to Kroger instead. Well, I already had given him $10 to add to that card, and so we're on our way to Kroger's, and he's telling me how he's got a cigarette habit, and he's wants to kick it, knows it's not good for him. And I thought later, I probably just fed his nicotine habit. Probably not a good thing. But in any case, maybe I needed this guy to invade my life more than he needed me today. Maybe I needed my sense of justice renewed, because so many times I've just ignored those guys on the side of the road. So many times I've rationalized away and said, it's just for a drug habit, or it's for this, or it's for that. And I haven't been willing to take time, to invest time, to give of my life to help with the messiness of a broken world. And so it's just kind of interesting the way things collided today, both scripturally and then practical experience. And I wish I could say that every day I stop and help these guys. But the reality is we need to have a sense of justice and righteousness and a brokenness for the world around us, the needs around us. And I'd just like to close with a passage here out of Isaiah 58, starting in verse 6. Is not this a kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he will say, "Here am I." If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger and malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry to satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land, and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. I just want to bless you as a Moses this week. Go out there and be a well-watered garden and a spring whose waters never fail to those around you who need a sense of justice and righteousness. Let God work through you this week. Hey, God bless you. Have a great one. We'll see you.